A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. My name is Rome Paulson. How are you doing today? It's Monday, the 28th of April, 2025. And on today's breakfast, you'll be looking at several hot topics. But first, let's talk about how today is World Day for Safety and Health at Work. So globally, it is said that 19% of deaths that happen globally, is as a result of work-related accidents. And on today, which is the 28th of April, we're looking at ways to, necessitate change and ensure that everyone feels safe at work. The health and safety of people is, prioritized. The well-being of your workers is prioritized. So if you're a CEO, if you're an entrepreneur or someone who leads a team, it's important that you're looking at this to avoid whatever hazards you may have. So make sure that you have health and safety. You could even have a team. There's the HSC team, with most organizations. So those are things you need to look out for to ensure that everybody in your organization is safe. Also, today is Global Pay It Forward Day. So, having to pay kindness back is important, right? But you don't even have to pay it in the same coin, in the same way it was given to you. You can pay back to, just start a chain reaction of selflessness and kindness in the world. So if someone does something nice to you, why not pay it forward by doing something nice to someone else? It could be a smile, it could be getting someone a cup of coffee, it could be anything, but just ensure that you're bringing kindness to the world. I think the world needs a lot of kindness at the moment because things are going left, right and center, and everybody's forgetting the humanity of all of us as a collective. So it's important that we're looking for ways to just be kind to one another. And today, that is Global Pay It Forward Day, we're asking you to pay kindness forward. All right, on today's breakfast show, we'll be looking at several hot topics, one of which is federal government rakes in 84 billion naira from electric transfer levy in 3 months. Much later in the show, we'll be discussing the fact that Nigeria is third in Africa for U.S. deportation and asylum requests rise. We'll also be taking global stories that has made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. But first, let's move over to our top trending stories. And this first one says, federal government shifts focus to revenue mobilization, moves away from concessional funding. So Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Eju, has announced that the federal government is prioritizing domestic revenue mobilization and asset optimization over concessional funding from international organizations. Speaking after Nigeria's participation in the 2025 IMF and World Bank spring meetings, Nigeria's Eju said the government has moved away from relying on loans from institutions like the World Bank, European Union, and bilateral agencies. Eju revealed that Nigeria has made significant progress in debt repayment, achieving an 87.5% reduction in outstanding IMF debt over the last 2 years. He stated that with the current repayment trend, the country is on track to fully clear its IMF obligations by mid-2025. Additionally, Nigeria is de-emphasizing commercial borrowing in favor of raising funds internally and through Nigerian diaspora investments. The minister highlighted that President Bola Tinubu's economic strategy now centers on encouraging private sector participation to drive growth. He explained that the government aims to attract private investment in critical sectors such as infrastructure, digital development, and toll road projects, thereby reducing dependency on external loans and boosting economic stability. Way to go, Mr. Wale Eju. I mean, something we've always said is the fact that we have to keep taking loans from the World Bank and the IMF, and you know how it works. He who pays the piper dictates the tune, and a lot of the things that we're seeing, a lot of the reforms in quotes that we see in Nigeria today is because of what the IMF or the World Bank has said that we should do, right? And a lot of times that doesn't really work because every country has its own peculiarities, the little nuances, the things that just makes them different. And if you're going to go with a textbook approach, it might not really work. So it's important that, you rise above that and you're trying to be as independent as possible so that when you make certain decisions, you're making those decisions for the benefit of your country people, of your citizens, not just because someone asked you to do that. And of course, because they give you loans, they give you money, you really do not have so much of a choice. So we're talking about this concessional funding. I think it's high time that Nigeria starts to manage what we have. Great news, by mid 2025, we're almost getting into the middle. I mean, we're in the second quarter now. So if we can repay our loans, let's manage what we have instead of having to keep taking loans over and over and over again. And a lot of times, we don't even see what the loans are being taken for. You're hearing of so much money coming into the country, but how does that really reflect into the daily lives of Nigerians is, a question that everyone asks. How many, infrastructure are we seeing? Fine, there's the coastal highway that we're seeing that is being constructed at the moment, but how many projects have we really seen that is benefiting Nigerians? How many projects have we seen that, is changing things for people, and, economically we're becoming more financially independent? Not so much. So these loans are basically coming. Some people are just taking it, a select few are taking it for themselves, and that's it. But like I said, let's pay back our loans. Maybe whatever has happened. Water might be swept under the bridge. Great. What do we have? Let's work with that. There are countries who have revolutionized their economy by making some bold decisions, by saying, you know what, we want to shut down everywhere. Let's work with what we have and start to find ways to generate revenue. And there are a few ways that we can generate revenue in Nigeria. Obviously, the first thing that everybody talks about is crude, because that is how we make our money currently. But the problem with the crude is we do not even know how much we're making, because, even the World Bank that we get all of these loans from have said that the NNPCL is not transparent. So we don't even know what we make as a country from crude. I think we can start with that, some level of transparency and accountability, and then let's know what we're working with. Now, another issue with crude is oil theft. We keep saying bunkering, we keep saying, boards, of stolen crude. You're seeing ships, you're seeing things, and sometimes they will come and tell you, and they'll tell you that, oh yes, there was a stolen crude on the sea, and then we had to burn it down. And I'm wondering, did you burn it down with the, its content? So these are things we need to look into. We need to be able to curb oil theft, and that way, like I said, we know what we're working with. Now, crude is something that we know has been great, fantastic, but why are we not looking at diversification? Why are we not looking at other ways to generate revenue for a country? Another way that, of course, the government is looking to generate revenue is through the tax reform bills, that is already being talked about at the moment. So tax reform, fantastic for SMEs. They don't have to pay as much. It's basically you paying as much as you're generating revenue, which is fantastic. So a lot of people who are getting more money might have to pay a little bit higher, but these are things that other countries have had to do. And if we can take that, but of course look at the peculiarities of Nigeria and tweak it a little bit, then fantastic, that should work. Another thing we need to be looking at right now is public-private partnerships, so PPPs. There are so many countries that have done this and it has worked for them. You're looking at private entities and saying, you know what, how can we work together? Good for me, good for you, win-win for everybody. What can we do? We're still talking about, even with the crude and the NNPCL, why are we not looking at the refineries? Why are the refineries not working at the moment? If we can bring PPP in there, it could really rejig the entire system. And everybody, of course, you have jobs, you're generating jobs for people. Of course, money is definitely coming in. We're exporting even more. Everybody is happy. So those are things we need to be looking at. And it's not even just for the oil sector. We're also talking about infrastructure. We're talking about the healthcare system. We're talking about so many, even education. I mean, we've seen private universities rise up, private schools, not even just universities. We've seen a lot of private schools rise up recently, maybe in the last 10, 15 years. That should trickle down into other sectors, and it should be a partnership between the public and the private sector. So We're talking electricity, for instance. The transmission in electricity is still being held by the federal government. So these are things that we definitely need to look into. Agriculture was one way that we really made money in the past. We generated revenue. We need to go back into that, look for ways to, give farmers loans. They can easily access loans. These are things we need to be looking at. So fantastic. Say no to taking so much loans from the World Bank and the IMF, and let's just find ways that we can generate revenue. So kudos to you, Mr. Wale Ejo. I just hope that it's not something that we're saying we're going to do this and then it doesn't happen. We want to see it happen. We want execution, and that's what we're looking forward to. All right, another top trending story this morning says Jamb arrests 40 for impersonation, addresses 6:30 a.m. reporting time confusion. So no fewer than 40 people have been arrested for impersonating candidates during the ongoing 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME, according to the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Jamb. Meanwhile, many parents and guardians have raised concerns over the 6:30 a.m. reporting time, citing travel distance and safety risk for candidates, some of whom have had to leave home as early as 4 a.m. to reach their centers. Jamb clarified that while candidates are expected to report at 6:30 a.m. for pre-examination process, the actual examination doesn't start until 8 a.m. Spokesperson Fabian Benjamin explained that the early arrival is necessary for screening and checks to ensure orderliness, and avoid late coming that could disrupt the exam process. Additionally, a candidate, Esther Oladele, went missing while trying to locate her exam center, but was later found safe after nearly 2 days. The incident further fueled criticisms about logistical challenges candidates face during UTME, prompting calls for reforms to ease the examination process across Nigeria. This is a no-brainer. We definitely need the reforms in, our educational sector, because honestly, I remember when I wrote Jamb, I don't think I had to go to the center as early as 6:30 a.m. I think, if I'm not mistaken, around the time when I had mine, we probably did our exams maybe like 9 a.m. or something. And as long as you're there before the time, before the invigilators come, the people who are conducting the exams, you're fine. With the centers, I think there needs to be a bit more coordination with the centers, and don't send people too far. Imagine this girl, imagine what would have happened to her, nearly 2 days. Imagine the trauma that the family could have even faced, even the girl herself, just because she wants to write an exam. And I think there should be a lot more coordination. Look at the jurisdiction, put people according to maybe where they live. You don't have to send them too far, and just ensure that because it's close, they don't have to leave so early as well, because let's be honest, insecurity is something that we're still trying as much as possible to curb in Nigeria. So because I want to write an exam doesn't mean I need to put myself in harm's way just to make Jamb or the matriculation board happy. It's important that the coordination is on point. The exam centers as well, they're on point. If you need more hands, get more hands for the screening process, so that these people can come in, write their exams as swiftly as possible, and that's it. You don't need the 6:30 a.m. for people to get there, and then they're only starting the exam at 8 a.m. Maybe an hour should be enough, and I think 9 a.m. or even 10 a.m. is a good time to start the exam. How long is this exam for? Is it 2 hours? Is it 4 hours? I don't think having to start at 8 a.m. sharp should be the order and say it must be that way. You still need to look at the safety of the people and say, okay, if they're coming from maybe a far distance, how long will it take them to get here? Imagine people having to leave at as early as 4 a.m. I think I don't think that should be done at all. It's just an exam. They've prepared for it. You are prepared, to ensure that they write their exam. So everybody should meet in the middle. 9 a.m., 10 a.m., that should work. As long as they're there at 8 a.m., then that's fine. I'm not saying you have to start the exam at 8 a.m. and they need to be there at 6:30 a.m. I think it's a little bit too early. All right, our final top trending story says Bode judge, Nigeria won't become one-party state despite PDP defections. So Chief Olabode George, former Deputy National Chairman of the PDP, has expressed confidence that Nigeria will not become a one-party state despite the wave of defections hitting the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. He questioned the rationale behind politicians defecting to the APC, a party he described as lacking structure, and urged Nigerians to critically assess political parties rather than follow sentiments. George emphasized that the upcoming PDP National Executive Committee NEC meeting will be pivotal in determining the party's future, expressing hope that true Democrats within the PDP will work to save it. He insisted that no leader can perpetually remain in power, noting Nigeria's diversity and the constitutional impossibility of a one-party dominance. Addressing the growing North-South political divide, George dismissed the notion of regional supremacy, insisting that Nigeria remains a one indivisible nation. He stressed that nation building must include every group, and has vowed as an elder statesman to continue speaking the truth fearlessly. Well, of course, this is coming off the fact that a lot of politicians are moving into APC, and one of the states that we saw a mass defection was a Delta state where I'm from, and the current governor has obviously moved. Bode has moved to APC, who was seen as a PDP governor. All of his assembly members have also moved as well, and a lot of people are saying, what's happening, what's going on, how come everybody is moving to APC? And APC just seems like the beautiful bride right now, is the party that is ruling, of course, and everybody wants to go to the ruling party, especially if you feel like maybe you have a little bit of issues and you feel like all of your sins will be forgiven. You just move to that, and in fact those are the things allegedly that are being said for the former governor of Delta State, Okowa, who has also moved. And then, there's the Festus Keyamo, who has always spoken about Bode outrightly, and all of a sudden he's saying, this is my brother, he's welcoming him, saying, it's a new dawn for Delta State. So you're seeing that, in fact, there are rumors that River State might also follow suit. So you're seeing this mass defection into APC from PDP, and one thing that has been on everybody's lips is what's going to happen in 2027. Are we going to see a one-party state whereby it's going to be APC that is ruling and taking over everywhere? But I mean, according to what Bode George, he is saying that's not going to happen. I hope that the PDP is definitely trying to put their house in order. And the problem is what we've seen with the political climate in Nigeria, or the political landscape in Nigeria, is there's no party that really has a proper structure, that has a manifesto. And I think that's what Nigerians need to look for now. You shouldn't be voting anybody based on sentiment to say, oh, this is my brother, or he's from my state, or I just like the way he looks, or because we practice the same religion. You need to look for someone who has character, who has values, who has integrity, who has things that that, yes, I want my leader to be like this, and they're going to deliver. At this point in Nigeria, everybody knows what the economy is like. Everybody knows what they're facing at the moment. So you need someone that is a transformational leader that would come and do the work, and not just everybody moving to one party. So these are things we need to look forward to come 2027. Who can deliver? That should be the question on everybody's lips, and that's the kind of person that you need to be voting. Because if we keep seeing this mass defection from one party to the other, what does that tell you? It just tells you that these people probably do not stand for anything. Because how do you say, I'm a PDP member, I want to believe that PDP have their own manifesto, I want to believe they have their own structure, I want to believe they have the principles that are guiding that party, right? And same for APC, same for NNPP, same for Labour Party. So if you're just moving, so what changed? What changed for you to say, I want to leave my party? Maybe I don't believe in what they're saying anymore. Maybe they're not doing what is right, what they told me. If you're going to see that mass defection, there should be a reason, not just because APC is the beautiful bride that everybody wants to go to. So I think Nigerians need to wake up at this point and know that we definitely cannot have a one-party state. And for all of the, all of the opposition parties, I'm talking about the Labour Party, the NNPP, the PDP, you all need to put your house in order to have a formidable party to say that yes, we're going to give APC a run for that money, and if they're doing something that is not right, then we know that we can move in. That's what we need to see. We need options in Nigeria, and hopefully we're going to see that come 2027. All right, that's it for our top trending stories. We'll go on a short break. We'll look at the weather, and when we return, we're taking the stories that have made it to the front pages of our national dailies. So please stay with us.